Hey everybody, this is Rob and Jordan, and we are back for Archangel Inc. Live number 31. Jordan, how are you tonight?
I am great, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. This is
Good.
a month of Sundays, as the expression goes, of Archangel Inc. Live. So we've actually done 31 of these, and thank you to everybody out there who has tuned in and commented and participated. We're always happy to receive those comments, and thanks for checking us out and spending a little time here. For this evening, we are going to talk about the Ultimate Book Review Manifesto. So, super important information here, the book review process. And Jordan, I know that this is something you've spent a lot of time on and have gotten really effective at. You've developed a number of strategies and practices that seem to help, and I think they're really valuable, and I would love to share them with the audience and create a resource for people who are interested in this kind of thing. So thank you for being here tonight to chat about it. Do you have any opening thoughts or volleys as we kind of jump into book reviews and this topic here?
I think, I know we'll get into this, but I just think it's important to note that doing this at some level, I still believe is really super important, especially if you are putting your first book out there. If you don't have an audience behind you, and I have an audience, and I still do this process because I like to build on that, kind of a snowball effect of people that want to read my books and will write reviews for me. So it's still super important to do this. And of course, things change as far as how to do it. It's changed so many times over the last several years, Rob.
Yeah.
As we've discussed, but hopefully, at least for right now, some of the stuff we're going to be sharing is it's up to date. But I'm hoping that the way we're kind of building this is going to be a little bit more evergreen than just relying on the way things are right now. So hopefully this will last, and this won't be null and void within a couple weeks. As it sometimes can be with Amazon, frustratingly so. I think it'll go a little bit longer than that. So yeah, I'm excited for this.
Me too. I think it's a great topic. I remember one of the first things that we talked about, I think on our very first live session, way back when, 31 episodes ago, was something that you learned, which was kind of wild. And that is, Amazon used to allow you to email all of the reviewers on their site. I think, was that what you discovered? And you could just basically say, hey, I've got something I'd like to share with you all. And Amazon would say, no problem, here you go, and just kind of pass the message right to them.
Yeah, I was told that by someone I had been communicating with, that was he had looked into this way back when. I think at that point it was like 10 or 12 years. And I was blown away by that. Yes, that used to be an option. You used to be able to hit one button, email everyone. Yeah, if you could do that nowadays, wow. But yeah, if you did it nowadays, that means all those people would be getting all these emails, so it probably wouldn't be as effective. So it makes sense that they changed it. It's one of those things that couldn't go on forever, but if only.
Yes, if only. I mean, that's sort of the old idea. The first generation are the innovators, and then the next generation kind of gets calcified and things become a little more conservative, and it makes sense. Like you said, when you're a small startup like Amazon, I remember some of the earliest commercials back then. I think this tagline was, "We carry everything from A to Z," and that was the little arrow and the smile there. And back then, maybe you can get away with it because you're just building up that audience base. But nowadays, like you said, I mean, there's, I'm sure, probably tens, if not hundreds of millions of people who have ordered at least once, and to be able to reach all those at one time, that's just not feasible. So,
the only other thing I wanted to note is that I'm sure someone will look at this and ask, yes, I'm drinking tea out of a bowl. We don't have normal size mugs here in our Airbnb. So yeah, I'm drinking tea out of a bowl, and it tastes just as good.
Good.
For the person that is going to see that and wonder it, because I would wonder it myself. Yes. What is this guy doing?
What? That's a big bowl of tea you got there, Jordan.
A bowl of tea.
Yeah,
so we're good. Moving on.
Absolutely. So everybody, we've got a really great post that we've put together, and it's gotten a little bit of organic traffic, and we're really proud of it. And that is the Ultimate Manifesto, How to Get Book Reviews. And I will include the link down below, but this is it. If you just look or type into Google, Archangel Inc. Book Review Manifesto, you'll get this, and you can kind of follow along. So this evening's live stream will be following some of those key points, and we'll discuss it a little bit. And the other thing that I think is going to be pretty cool and pretty helpful is using some screen share capacity to demonstrate, in practice, what using some of these applications looks like and how to kind of take advantage of some of the things that Jordan discusses. So you can follow a lot of these, including some screenshots on the manifesto if you'd like, or if you are catching this later and want to kind of deepen your reading and not just your listening and viewing, then that is the place to do it. So,
Yep.
All right, there are a number of bullet points that we have here, so we'll kind of just run through those. The first one is Amazon reviews, verified versus unverified. So what should we know about that, Jordan?
Definitely an important difference. We aim to try to get both of them, both sets of these, but Amazon verified is a review that someone leaves that Amazon can verify. That means Amazon has proof that that person read your book. Now that's either the reviewer downloading a Kindle version of your book, or ordering a paperback, or ordering your book from your book sales page on Amazon. So if they do that, and if that customer then goes and leaves a review on your book's page, it's a verified review. And it will show that. It'll say Amazon verified review. It'll be a nice little tag. Now,
I was going to ask, do they categorize those different types of reviews differently? Can you, does it matter to Amazon whether a review is verified or unverified?
As far as we know, it does matter. That Amazon tends to put the verified reviews up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So it matters as far as weight goes, mm-hmm. as far as like what's going to be displayed. Now, some people will say it does help with the Amazon algorithm as far as, excuse me, as far as I need to drink some more bowl tea, as far as getting your book more visibility within Amazon. Now, we know that for the most part, sales are going to be the most important thing for Amazon showing your book. Mm-hmm. But if your book starts getting sales and it has verified reviews coming in, that's a good sign. Mm-hmm. No one truly knows what how the Amazon algorithm works, but some do hypothesize that it can affect that.
Right. And my understanding as well is that it is and maybe we'll get into this a little bit more later, but it is both the quantity of reviews that's meaningful, as well as the rating, I suppose, but also the recency of them. So a book that doesn't have quite as many reviews, but it's getting one consistently, every week or every 2 weeks or every month or so, and has them throughout the course of its lifespan, will be considered to be more relevant and more important. But it is not. Sorry, I got distracted. We had someone comment in the stream here. Recency is important. It's considered more relevant and like it has something more of an evergreen status versus something that had a bunch of reviews at once, but it was launched 2 years ago and has gotten no reviews since.
Yep. So so unverified it's not going to show up and say unverified review. It's just mm-hmm. going to show up as a review on mm-hmm. the book's page. So yeah, as far as importance goes, it's good to have a mix of both. I don't mm-hmm. necessarily, I'm not of the opinion that, unverified reviews and, building that number, I don't think that's not worth it. I think it's definitely worth it to get mm-hmm. those up there. It's harder to get verified reviews because you're asking people not only to get your book, take the time to read it, but you're saying, hey, can you actually also buy it for me too? And some people will, and you can ask for that, and that's totally fine. You can't require it, but you can ask them to mm-hmm. If they're willing to do that. But that's just harder to do because not as many people are going to be willing to do that. But yeah, I also want to mention, Rob, as far as review weight goes, yeah, so recency is super important. But also quality of the reviews really matters too. Mm-hmm. It matters to you as the author, as far as gaining your own not self-esteem but momentum mm-hmm. and all that. So it works on like a for your own growth there. But also it does matter to Amazon too. We don't know how Amazon knows which reviews are better and more quality, but they have so many systems. And they're designed to be able to see, okay, is this person just coming in and saying, hey, this is a great book, and just leaving a bunch of fluff, or are they actually taking the time to read it? Now, I think for the most part, Amazon can tell whether a review, and they actually do have, I don't know how the system works again, but I'm pretty sure they have a system where they can pull out certain keywords from reviews and potentially even block reviews that are just going to say, that was a great book. I enjoyed it, blah, blah, blah. Anything that's more, I guess, generic. I think they could potentially go in and say, we don't want any generic reviews. We want real people leaving these reviews. So the more people you can get that are leaving those good generic reviews, I think it's just going to look better for your page, and it's Amazon's going to look highly upon that too.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting that they can identify things, the quality of the reviews. Now, I know one of the methods that they use is they have the did you find this review helpful function, so people can basically thumbs up or thumbs down a review, and that will contribute to whether it's considered more meaningful. And 20 users have found this review helpful, etc. But that's news to me, really, that we have Amazon has that capacity to extract keywords and reduce the visibility of fluffier reviews, I guess.
Yeah, because you can even and I don't know if they do this for every book and like every product page, but for a lot of products on Amazon, you can actually go in and it'll say at the bottom, look at reviews that contain, and then you'll have a list of keywords that it'll review,
right?
Which is very interesting. I've never found that useful as a consumer,
right?
So I don't know if they I'm not even 100% sure they still do that. I have noticed that before,
right?
But seeing that, tells me that there is that capability.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. If you have a book that is about, let's say, your book launch Gladiator, and how many books mentioned first-time author, or how many reviews mentioned first-time author.
Yeah.
So you click on that, maybe that's a tag, and you want to see what people are saying, whether it's relevant for a first-time author. That's pretty neat. We do have a question here from Glenda on Facebook. I always review, and I am not paid, but mine always show as verified. So that's a good question, Glenda. Or it's a good comment, I guess. Whether it is paid or not for, in terms of compensation for the review is not as important, but it is whether you have purchased the item or if you downloaded the item. So you can have a verified review for a title that was released for free or held for free on promo, and it can still be verified, but even if you didn't pay. But that's different than, you take out Alice in Wonderland from the local library, but then go and leave a review on Amazon for whatever edition of Alice in Wonderland. That's the distinction there for verified versus unverified. Cool. All right. So there are a number of things that we are encouraged not to do. What not to do when getting reviews, and there are a few different categories here, but anything you want to say as we start, Jordan?
No, I was just making sure you still had me. I lost you there for a second.
Okay. Yeah, no,
we're good. Okay.
All good. So what not to do. Friends and family reviews, and I'll just kind of scan through them. We can handle them in a block. Review swaps and paid reviews. So tell me about these, Jordan.
So friend and family reviews, I tend to shy away from that because, again, like any time that Amazon doesn't want you to have your best friend or your parents reading your books, because they're a biased source. I mean, that makes sense. Where I do have issue with this sometimes is you could potentially be a Facebook friend with someone in your audience that may have found out about you because you're an author and loves what you read. Now, by the way Amazon words things, they would have issue with your now Facebook friend, your friend, leaving a review for your book, which it's Amazon, so you kind of follow follow it as much as you can. But to me, that seems pretty silly if they came in and were that. So there's not a lot of ways to really differentiate that. I typically don't try to do that as much. I did that early on because I was like, hey, I don't know who else is going to read my book.
Right.
But doing things, the way we're going to share, there are other ways other than just relying on the people you know. And honestly, unfortunately, if you just rely on people to leave reviews, you're probably not going to get very many reviews anyway, because people really don't follow through. You need to play the numbers game too.
Right.
It's one of the things where every single time we do this with our clients, they're like, hey, I asked all these people. I know I thought the same thing, and you don't believe it until you go through it. But yeah, if you have 10 people, even if they all tell you they're going to do it, one of them is going to do it. So.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've heard from people, guaranteed. Oh, for sure. I've got my 5 best friends and my, and my cousin and my old boss. Like, I've got 7 for sure, no problem, bank on it. And that does not always happen. So really good point. Yeah, I think Amazon, as far as they're concerned, the whole idea is they should be completely unbiased and independent. Hey, I had a really good experience with this toothbrush. Hey, I really like this coat that I purchased. Let me tell you about how I've used it and what it's been helpful for, etc. But it does get tricky, as you mentioned, Jordan, because I've even heard examples of authors who had reviewers disqualified because they had previously reviewed another title of theirs. They're considered to have had a relationship with the author because, hey, I read your previous book, I liked it, I wrote a review for it, you bought your next book, sorry, you can't write a review anymore, which is an overreach, I would say.
Yes.
Hopefully not too many times does that happen, but Amazon retains a lot of flexibility and latitude in their phrasing to give them discretion, and we just hope that they're going to make good decisions with all of that. So
yeah, and there are a lot of stories about authors that have reviews removed from their books pages. Rob, I've been lucky enough; I've never had to deal with that. Like I said, I sometimes probably too careful and try to play too carefully by Amazon's rules, but it is really important, especially if you are hoping to build this into your business. A lot of people are building this as their business. Other people are building this into their businesses, but still, you want to do it as, I was going to say white label, white hat. You want to do white hat as much as you can. So, but yeah, review swaps, that is bad. Do not do review swaps.
What is a review swap, Jordan?
Okay, so a review swap, if I were to say, hey, Rob, would you please read and review my book? And I'll do the same for you. And let's do that. Let's help each other out. Hey,
Jordan, that sounds like a great idea. We're both indie authors and we both could use more reviews. Let's get to it. What could go wrong?
It's great in theory, but this is what I say to that. I think it's still great for authors to help each other out. If you have an author, if you as an author are going to reach out to someone, or if someone comes up to you, do it. Be like, hey, sure, I will read and review your book. But then ask for something else in exchange, or say, hey, I just wrote this blog post. Would you mind sharing it out? Things like that are going to be way more beneficial than a straight direct swap. Amazon just doesn't like that. If you think about it, as far as tracking, that's a pretty easy thing to track if they really wanted to, especially if you're launching around the same time, especially if you're in the same genre. You just don't want to do things that are just going to be that obvious. So where you can, just avoid that. Do something else, or try to give back in a different way that doesn't involve a direct swap. You can still help. You can still work together as authors, but just be smart about it.
Yeah, Amazon is, again, getting very particular about a lot of this. I've heard examples. I think Dale was mentioning recently, they will sometimes flag the language that you use in your call to action. If you say, hey, if you like this book and would like to help me reach other people, please leave a review on Amazon at such and such sales page. Adding a qualification like that, if you like this book and you want it to help other people, then do it, is not allowed, because then the implication is, if you didn't like the book, then I don't want you to say anything. And of course, as authors, we would prefer if all of our reviews were positive. But as far as Amazon is concerned, if there's any solicitation at all, they really insist that you word it neutrally, and something like, hey, thanks so much for reading this book, I'd love an honest review for it. It's a big help to me as an author. Something like that is going to less likely run you afoul of their preferences.
Yeah, and we'll get into this a little bit more later too. When I'm sharing my initial emails, when I'm outreaching to people, and then even in the follow-ups too, if someone comes back and says, hey, like, I'm not sure I'm really a big fan of this, I always encourage them, hey, go leave the review anyway. I don't think a 2 or 3 star review is necessarily going to ruin your book's page. It's honest. It's good feedback. I've seen books that have really bad reviews do really well. It doesn't destroy it. Now, if 10 of your reviews are all going to be negative, that's not going to be good. We're hoping for that. Hopefully your book's quality, It takes a lot to get people to leave a review, but to get 10 people to leave a negative review, something's going to be wrong there. But for the most part, 1 or 2 bad reviews is not that big of a deal. So it's not a bad idea to ask for an honest review and honest feedback. It's just really it's how we're supposed to be doing it. So that's what we recommend for sure, and that's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the topic of books with mediocre reviews doing well, I mean, you and I looked at, was it Talking to Strangers, the Malcolm Gladwell book, a couple of live streams ago, maybe a month or 2 ago. And the top reviews were 2 and 1 stars. And that book was still selling really well. It was still pretty well regarded. And that's Malcolm Gladwell. He's got prestige and a brand and all that. But you don't have to have amazing reviews in order to still have decent sales and have a following. So. Cool. All right. So let's get into it. The bulk of this, how to get more reviews, 7 strategies. And first one we mentioned here a moment ago, and that is to put a call to action in your book. So what's a call to action? Why is that important, Jordan?
It's an easy step that you can take to add to your book. And I was just looking at our language real quick. Hopefully we had it updated to what we were just talking about. The road words there. But for the most part, it's not something you have to do as far as outreach. It's in your book. Now, the unfortunate fact is most people that read books are not going to leave a review, but adding something in the back of your book can increase that conversion rate a little bit and get you, at least a few more just organic reviews. Now, if we could increase anything we can do to even slightly increase the chances of an organic review is definitely worth our time. Now, the number one way to do that is to write a really good book that really impacts people. But adding a call to action at the end is just a super important piece that doesn't take that long. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those, may not move the needle all that much, but whatever margins you can work are going to be helpful. Simply by reminding people that an honest review is really helpful and you'd really appreciate it might be enough to get what you're looking for. I was working on another project, an audio project, and one of the points the author makes is the old adage, you don't get what you don't ask for. So ask for a review. If that's important to you, and as authors, we're talking about the value of it, then ask for one. Doesn't hurt anything. And if it does convert even one of every 100 people, that's one extra review that you may not have gotten otherwise. Yep. And again, just make sure when you're having that in your book, make sure the verbiage is saying, just leave this book an honest review. You definitely don't want to say, hey, if you thought this book was the best book in the entire world, go and give it a 5-star review. Things are obvious like that, but don't just, be thinking as you're putting that in there. Right. Just be careful, be careful of how you're phrasing it. Amazon, wants to make sure that things are above the board as possible. And indie authors are good targets for enforcement if they think that you've done something they don't want. Okay, number 2, search for readers who have reviews of similar titles. I'll fix that. So what's that about? If you want to, we can jump into the screen share now. Is that what you were thinking? Yeah, actually, let's do that. So, do you have that up and ready? Yep. Hang on. Cool. There we go. I forgot that I had to do it. All right. Been done with these in a little bit. Okay, cool. Oh, look at all those recursive images. Yep. Sorry. No, that's great. I pulled up this book. This is one we looked through recently. So, Rob, I'm going to try to do the best I can to kind of run through this and what I do. But definitely, if you can, ask questions as we go. Yeah. Because I've done this so many times that I try to remember each of the steps. But this step right here. So basically, we are looking for people that have reviewed similar books to yours. Now, if you wrote a book about changing your career or finding a new job, quitting your job, or something like that, this is one of those books that I would suggest looking through. Now, it only has 102 ratings. The more you can find books with, in the 500s or 1,000 range, it's just going to be a little bit easier because you don't have to switch as many times. But if the book is a really good fit and really close to your to your content and what you're writing about, then think about adding a book like this, even if it only has 100 ratings. So first up, let's just jump over to this tracking spreadsheet so I can talk about this a little bit, because I think it's important to start here, Rob. So really what we're doing in this part of the process is building out contacts. So especially if you're in a place where you're like, I don't know who to contact, Jordan. I don't have a lot of people already on my email list. I don't have a lot of people that I'm just not sure who to send my book to.
Right.
This is who we're going to be sending it to. We're going to be sending it to people that have reviewed similar titles. Now, the hope is that because they reviewed that similar title, they're going to say, hey, you wrote a book about this. Like, yeah, I'm already kind of interested in that. You're not doing this. It's not a complete just cold finding random people on the internet and asking them to read your book. It's, hey, I noticed you read a review for a similar book. I'd like to offer you the chance to read my book for free. And if you're willing and you are able to do that, would you leave a review for me? Leave an honest review. So this is the spreadsheet that I recommend. And maybe we can even, I'll write a little note real quick, Rob,
Sure.
Didn't mean to skip over that one. We'll send a link out to this.
Cool.
So to the spreadsheet so people can have that. Right. I think that would probably be helpful just to have something already made up. Oh, yeah. You can certainly look at this and make this yourself. It's not super complicated, but the spreadsheet is very important because this is how we are going to eventually send the emails out. We're not going to be sending one email at a time. We're going to be sending them in mass. But we have these sections so we can personalize each of the emails and make it relevant to each of the people. So this is the most important part right here as we start books look through. When I am first doing this, I will make a list of about 35 to 40 books that I want to look through on Amazon. And I'm going to go on Amazon to do that. And I'm just going to type in related keywords to my book. I'm going to type in, like I said before, if your book's about career change or you're switching jobs, or if it's some kind of book like that, start typing in those kind of keywords, looking for books on Amazon that are similar to that. So do the best you can to find the books that are closest to your book's genre that have a lot of reviews. When you get toward the end and when you get to 25 and above, you may not be able to find the books that are extremely relevant and are perfect fit, but maybe have more reviews. Those are fine, but you do just want to spend the bulk of your time in that really good fit range, because those are most likely going to be your best people because it's a book that's real close to that.
Yep. And one thing I wanted to add, just to jump on, this is really helpful for authors who are just starting out, because again, not everybody has 1 million people on their email list that they can instantly generate, even at a 1% or a 1/10 of 1% conversion rate, still get a dozen or 100 or 1,000 reviews. When you're starting out, you really have to build it from scratch. And these are, they're not cold leads, as you mentioned, Jordan. They're not exactly warm leads because you don't have a relationship with them exactly. Maybe something like lukewarm leads. They are leads that you have some reason to believe might be interested in what you're doing, and hopefully can persuade them with a friendly, kindly worded email and the offer of this title for review.
Yep, and that's what it really is about. It's about, like Rob, like you were just saying, if it's your first book, if you don't have a platform already, you do have to hustle. There's a lot of people out there that release books and don't do any kind of review gathering. Their plan is that they hope that organic reviews will come. And that's just not, in my opinion, it's just not a good plan. It's not going to happen because you need some kind of momentum. You need to build that social proof into your book as you're releasing it. And it's just not something generally, and some people are going to have a lot of luck. They're going to sell a ton of copies and, they're going to get the reviews coming in. But for the most part, you need to start somewhere. And this is just a great way to get the ball rolling.
Right. Yeah. Great. And
cool.
Yep.
Okay. So books look through, you're going to have a list, and I just have this as a sample, I have it sample retracking just so we can kind of see how everything connects together too. I'm going to show you in a little bit how it connects to the email program, but I just wanted to have something here. So you're looking for not just 5 or 6 names here, but you're looking to fill this list up with probably a couple hundred. The more you can find, the better, because as we were saying earlier, you may have 10 people that promise you a review. Maybe only 1 or 2 are going to do that. And that's generally how it goes here. You get a couple hundred people that you're emailing out to. Of those people, maybe 20 to 30 people email you back and say, hey, I'll do that. And then you're only going to get a handful of those too. So it's definitely a numbers hustle game, but it's, like we just talked about, it's worth playing. So yeah, we're going to look through this book. I'm going to show you kind of what we're looking for. I'm going to click on ratings. And here we go, Rob. This is what we were talking about earlier, read reviews that mention. And you could click on that, but we're not talking about that. We're going to look at all the reviews. And this, just for note, this is where what we were talking about, verified purchase right there. That's where that's going to show up. So there's a ton of verified purchases on this book. And
you'll probably disproportionately see those verified purchases toward the top of the initially displayed reviews because Amazon likes those. Yeah,
you got it.
Right.
All right, then I'm going to click on see all reviews from the United States. So this is a recent thing. For quite a while, Amazon had their reviews across all of their different websites, Amazon Canada, Amazon UK. Each of their reviews were all, they were only on those specific sites. And since actually the past, like, I think 2 or 3 months, Amazon has combined those. US reviews used to display across all platforms. But if you were looking at, say, my book in Amazon Canada, it would only display the Canada reviews first, and then have a separate thing where people could click and view the US reviews. But that's an interesting, as we talk about change, things are always changing. So
yeah.
All right, so when we're looking through reviews, an important thing to do is make sure that this book doesn't have any 3-star or below. So for this book here, we can look at all the reviews. But an important step, if this book has, most books are going to have some 3-star and 2-star reviews. We're not even going to look at those because, like we said earlier, it's okay if you get a 3 or 2-star review. But I'm not of the opinion that I'm going to reach out to people that may not have liked the book. I don't want to reach out to someone that liked a book and say, hey, or that didn't like a book and said, hey, you want to read something similar? That's probably not a great idea. So you're looking for positive reviews to start, and it is okay if, for some reason they don't like it, but don't set yourself up for that, of course.
Yeah, at the most innocent, it's saying, hey, this is a similar book to this. If you didn't like it to begin with, then you may not like this other one. At the more cynical side, you can think, well, this person might just be a sourpuss and is only going to write bad reviews. They're not the kind of person that is quick to praise. They're more likely to complain and gripe and vent, and that's not the kind of constructive review that we're looking for.
Yeah, there's no reason to shoot yourself in the foot and be searching out for those type of people.
Right.
So, all right. So now that we have our list, you can do filter by all reviewers, and then all positive. I'll just hit that anyway, so we can see. It's not gonna change anything for this, but just remember that we're filtering by all positive reviews. And then really this is where it comes to the hustle. And I don't want to pull too many up, Rob, because I don't want it to slow down our stream here.
Sure.
But I'm going to pull up a couple just to show everyone what we're looking for. And what I'm doing here, that's really important, and it seems silly, but it's not at all, because this takes a lot of time. When you're clicking on these names, you want to hold Control and click, so you can just go through here.
Yep.
You could also right-click and open link and new tab for Chrome, but just holding Control is the way to do that.
Yep.
And then you're going to see this Amazon page, but you're not going to be able to see everything right off the bat. So another trick that I do is I hold Control and minimize the screen. Pretty far, actually, because you're going to want to, even though it probably seems really small on the screen share, and I'll even zoom in again so we can make sure we see what we're looking at. But we want it to look like this because we're going to be opening a ton of these pages, and we want to see right off the bat.
So we're zooming out these pages?
Yep.
And okay,
we're zooming out because we're looking in this area right here where I'm circling. You're looking in this about, and there's going to be, if there's a website listed, it's going to be right here. And if you're pulling up this page and you don't see a website listed, you're just going to X out of it real quick.
Cool.
So I'll zoom in again just so we can make sure, but just remember that hint there. or that tip that because you want to do this fast, you don't want to open it up and then have to scroll and then look down, because that just takes a little bit of extra time.
Yep.
So there's nothing there. Nothing there for that person. X out. There's nothing there. Nothing there. And nothing there. We'll pull up a couple more. If there's not going to be anything that shows up, that's fine. That's just kind of how it tends to work. Now, I will say another important note here, Rob, is that for these reviews, you want to pull up everyone on the first page.
Yes. Because
they're on the first page. Those are most likely the best reviews. So they came from people that are going to leave really good reviews if you can get them. So it's very important to look through all of them.
Yes.
But as far as the people after that, I am only going to be pulling up the people with a picture here. Now, that's just a strategy I've implemented to try to get better numbers. You could certainly go through and look at all of these, but for the most part, you're going to have more success if you just open the ones that are with pictures here. And
when you say success, that means finding contact information for these people, right? And the reason I imagine that the ones with the pictures are there is because presumably these people have put a little bit more focus into building their profile, and they're going to be more likely interested in solicitations or invitations to review subsequent projects.
Yes, that's the idea, and that's what we found. Now, I've also found content information and really good reviewers from the people that don't have a picture. Yep. Just because they don't have a picture doesn't mean they don't have their contact information. But again, because this is really just a numbers game where you're spending a lot of time hustling through these, you're just trying to take every shortcut that you can. And that's just one that I would recommend. Okay, we'll look through these real quick. This is where you're going to find it. You're going to find it in the about.
Yep.
And if it doesn't have it in there, that's okay. Yeah, none of these do. Yeah, none of those do. A lot of them are not. You're going to find that you're going to go on streaks where you find a bunch in a row, and then you're going to go on other streaks where you may look through a whole book and not find any contact information. But let's say you do that and you eventually do find one. You find that person's contact information in the about. Basically, it's going to have their website listed. Yep. That's what's going to be listed. Amazon used to have this was about probably 3 years ago now, Rob, that they changed this, 2 or 3. They used to have the emails listed, and it would say send email to. So it would have their email listed right on that page. Now, Amazon removed that, and that really changed the game for a lot of indie authors, because all of a sudden, oh man, this process that I thought I knew has changed. Now, obviously that's happened a lot, but that was a big change. That was, and I think even for the people that enjoyed leaving book reviews, probably all of a sudden they weren't getting emails anymore, and they were saying, hey, hey, what's going on, Amazon? I think there's probably a lot of spam going on there, but at the same time, I think it was unfortunate that the change was made, because people that have their contact information, their emails listed, some of them may not realize it's there, but I think a lot of them really do want to receive these books. They want to get free books in their email.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So you're looking for website. That's what you're looking for.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to put in here, and you're going to basically just going to put the website in here. You're going to put the book you were on. So I was on Find Your Lane, and this is important. So you're going to put this for anyone that you find in that list. That's just going to go down. You're going to you're going to repeat that for everyone that you found from that book. You're going to put the website here, and then if you have it, you can put their name. And then we have their email in here that we're going to find through their website. So this is the part of the process that does take quite a while. Eventually, you're going to go and find contact information on the person's website. Now you can find that whether it's on their contact page, if they have an email listed on their Facebook page or YouTube. Really, it takes some detective work, and it takes a while to find that email. But once you find their name and email, you add them to this list, and that's just going to be completing your spreadsheet in this way. So it's a multi-step process. Got it.
So another question about that: if they have on their website not an email address but a contact us page, or some sort of form that allows you to reach out to them, is that something you take advantage of as well, or request an email address through that, or how does that go?
So if they don't have any kind of email listed on their website or any of their social media platforms, I just forget it.
Okay.
I will move on and then eventually just delete that entry.
Yep.
Because again, like you could foreseeably, and I used to actually do this. I used to any websites that had only contact forms, I used to save that in a separate thing, and then go back and send an email to each one of those. But I found that a lot of websites have contact forms that just don't work and are broken.
Yeah.
And then even if you do that, you can't send it through the GMass email program that we're going to talk about, and you can't send any follow-ups.
Yeah.
So you're taking a lot of time to type out emails. Even if you're copy and pasting, you're still going to have to change things around and make it fit.
Right.
For not potentially a lot of gain for that. Now, the only exception to that, Rob, is if you have someone that maybe you've heard of or you're a fan of, and you really want to get in contact with them, and the only way they have is the contact form. I'd say do that. Just check in with them.
Right.
If it's someone that would be a perfect reviewer, but for the most part, no.
Now, what if you send an initial contact letter to them through the website and say, hey, if you're interested, please email me back at this address and I'll make sure to get you a copy or something like that. Because at that point, maybe they email you back and say, hey, I'd like to be on the list. And then you can kind of drop them into the GMass program. Would that be a viable strategy, do you think?
I think so. You would have to, it would still be kind of involved because you would want to at least intro what you're going to be sending them. You'd still have to send some kind of information. I would think probably a lot of people aren't going to send, unless you do a really good job defining what you have to offer them.
Right.
A lot of people probably are either they're just going to ignore it or just not send you their email.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I think like anything in this process, and I've done this myself. Anything you can think of like that, give it a try and just see for yourself. There's a lot of this stuff that I've learned these little tips and tricks as I've gone and said, okay, this is taking way too long. I need to adjust and figure out how to best approach this.
Make it more
efficient. Anything like that you can think of, yeah, for sure. Give it a try.
Cool. All right. So you mentioned GMass. Is it time to talk about GMass?
Yes. So once you do this, once you get this process and you get the websites, you want to go through all the websites and get the contact information. And then once you do that, and like we were just talking about, if you can't find it, don't spend too long trying to to dive deep. I've gotten lost times where I've tried to spend 10, 15 minutes trying to find that one email. It's not worth your time.
Yeah.
You'll get better at finding emails on websites. They're usually either on a contact form, an about page. Some people have it at the very top of their screen. Some people have it in a sidebar. You'll get a feel for it once you get going. Yeah. But yeah, don't spend too long on each website. So yeah, GMass. I had that, and we're gonna hope that it connects to this sheet here. Okay. Cool. I have this up here, but I'm gonna copy this because I'm gonna start it from. Actually, we're just going to make it. I'm just going to copy it from that. We're going to start it from scratch so you can see. Okay. So make sure, and I've made the mistake before that this has gotten me in trouble. It just hasn't worked. Make sure that your Gmail account that you're on, if you have multiple, is going to be the one that you're sending this email from. So I'm on my jordan@archangellink.com email address here in Gmail. And then I also am viewing this spreadsheet from my jordan@archangellink.com account. So that's important. If you don't have that linked up like that, it's not gonna link up within GMass. So, all right. Once you have GMass installed, and we give, I'm pretty sure on that blog post we give kind of, I know we give a pretty thorough rundown. I think we have a link in there on how to get it set up, but it's just a Gmail plugin that you can add. It's a free program to try out. I think up to 50 emails sent a month or something like that. And then after that, it's I think 13 to $20 a month to have it after that. And if you're doing this frequently, it's definitely worth it. It's a good program to have. So yeah. Right. And
the short summary of GMass is it allows you to send mass emails through your Gmail account, right? So rather than having a separate email server where you load all these addresses on and then send a campaign out or something like that, it simply allows you to send a foreign email out to a number of different people at once.
Yes, you got it. And so along with that, and as you're going to see here shortly, it is very easily integrated with Google Spreadsheets. And that's very important here because of what we're building in this, we want to be able to kind of enter things as we have it. And you'll see what that's going to look like here in a second. But it's very important that it connects, and GMass does.
That's just that.
Okay, cool. So we're going to hit this button right here, and it just says connect to an email list in a Google Docs spreadsheet. And it never takes that long to load. Okay, there we go. We're going to go on sample review tracking, and then make sure you're on the right tab at the bottom here. And you'll see in here, it's on the right tab, Amazon review tracking. And it looks like I need to, because of the screen share here, I need to zoom out a little bit. Okay, connect to spreadsheet. Okay, so you'll see right here in the to thing, basically this is, well, originally it had a thing in there that just switched it. That was strange. So I think if you have only a few emails, like if there's only 5 in there, it's just going to load up all the emails that I have in here. But if you have, I think if you have probably more than 50, it's just going to have that really short thing that it showed that was some kind of weird numbers, GMass. But basically it's sending emails to that people in that spreadsheet. All right, and we're gonna kind of X that out, and then let's see if I have my other email, if I can get to it. This is a sample email that we could suggest. Oh, look, we can have that up. And I'm gonna go over that in a second.
Yeah, I lost you there for just a second. So this is the template email you were saying, and then you're saving this draft or copying this draft over into the GMass window. Is that right?
Yes. So I have, this is for one of my books that I wrote called The Balance Point. This is one of my emails that I sent out. I wanted to give a real example of an actual email that I sent out. So yeah, this is one of the ones that I had in here. So what this does is just like an email program like ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign or MailChimp is going to be able to send out kind of personalized emails to your email list. It's going to be able to say greetings and then the name there. This is going to be kind of a very similar process to that. So what we have here, I always title my emails book review request for, and then for the person. So what this does right here, this name is pulling it from the name part on here.
Right. So
for each person, so for Douglas, if I were to send Douglas an email, and it looks like that's the wrong email there. Anyway, I was going to send Douglas an email. It would be pulling it from this email right here. So it would say, hey, Douglas, and it would send it to this email. And then it's going to further make it more personalized by saying, hey, I noticed you did a book review for, and we have book they reviewed here. Now it's anything, and again, that's the book they reviewed. So it's going to make it personalized to him. So if Douglas receives this, he's going to get an email that says, hey, Douglas, I noticed you did a book review for this ultra learning book. It's not going to say any others. It's going to say that specific one because, again, we want to kind of share that can be helpful in terms of getting people to respond and getting people interested. Because, yeah, people for the most part don't like
getting
like to be contacted unsolicited. Yeah, and if you can kind of say, hey, this is why I'm contacting you. This is what I'm doing. The quicker you can say that and share that, the better.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking, if you're an author or a content creator of any kind, it gets on your good side immediately. If somebody sends me an email, I've never heard of them before. Hey, Rob, I saw Archangel Link Live number 31 about book reviews. That was really interesting to me. I had a question about that, and then they follow up. You kind of break the ice. It allows you to develop a little bit more of a rapport out of the gate instead of making it seem impersonal and like you're just on a robocall list.
Yep, you got it. And that's why I add in the name here in the subject line too. I think that's really important. Instead of just book review requests. Right. How many people are going to open that up? But maybe if hey, okay, book review request for Jordan. Okay, well, they at least know my name.
Right, exactly. This
And
is meant for
that's
me, so that's
yes,
something.
that's a very good start.
Mhm.
So yeah, just to quickly go over the rest of this here.
Mhm.
But yeah, we have the book they reviewed, and I thought you might be interested in receiving an advanced review copy of a similar work. So you're sharing, hey, I know you read this book and you reviewed it. I have a similar book here that I'm going to share about in a bit.
Mhm.
I talk about when my book is launching, and I say, hey, if you're interested, I can send you over a copy. I give them a little bit about what the book's about in this section right here. Try to be as brief as you can here. I probably honestly went on a little too long. It might be better just to have a sentence of what the book is about.
Yep.
Especially because here, and I recommend everyone do this too, send them to the book's page, because that's if you have a pre-order up on Amazon, or if you have a landing page for your book, that's a place just the option to find out more information for themselves.
Yep.
And that can be really helpful. They can see the book cover, they can kind of read the description, they can say, okay, they can maybe see what other books you've written if you have, and then kind of get a little bit more information about you.
Right.
And then this last line, just say, if interested, hit reply and I will send over a copy. Now, this is where I do things differently than, I know there's a lot of authors out there who will use platforms like, I almost had it, Rob.
Findaway Voices.
I wasn't thinking Findaway Voices. I was thinking
Draft Digital, or
I was thinking of the program that will actually send copies of books out for you to people.
Yeah. The name is escaping me, but we'll include it in the link down below afterward.
Yeah, sorry about that. I couldn't remember, just because I don't generally use it. It's
right.
book something. But basically, people can go there, and then it helps them get a copy of your book installed. I don't use that. I haven't seen personally the benefits of using that. I really do the best that I can, and it really helps. The first part of this process is very, it's numbers driven, and it's very, you're trying to get as many people on your contact list as you can. But for me, once I send this email, I am personally responding to everyone that responds. I'm not doing any kind of en masse emails after that point. I'm trying to keep, once someone says, hey, Jordan, I'm willing to review your book, I do have templates of emails that I will send out with the links of my books. I'm not going to type everything out if I'm saying similar things,
right.
But the more you can just be personalized at that point to different needs, things that people are thinking about, I think it can really help start to build that relationship. And that's just super important, because we're trying to get people to do something really big for us. It's a big ask for them to read our book, spend time, what they want to write for. For me, this is just a great way of initially building the process out, but then as much as you can after the fact, be as personal as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's important. You have that sort of template, but if somebody actually says, hey, Jordan, that book sounds interesting, I'm kind of busy right now, tell me more about it, or what if can I get the review up later on down the road, or anything like that, you want to not have a stock answer for them.
Yes.
Hey, hey, Aaron, that's great, I'm really happy that you're excited or that you're interested in it. Please, by all means, take your time. If you can get it up anytime before the end of this year, that'd be great. Or however, whatever makes sense. But yeah, great point.
Yeah, and I think that's a good note too. Yeah, if someone says, hey, I'm willing to do this, but I can't do it right away, always send your book to them too. As Rob talked about in the very beginning of this video, having recency in reviews is really important. So if you have reviews coming in over time, that's great. So yeah, anyone that says, hey, I'm interested, but maybe can't do it right away, still send them the book and send a note and say, hey, you know what? It's important that reviews come in over time. So yeah, go ahead, leave it whenever. And you can certainly follow up with those people too. But just remember that you don't need to be following up as aggressively, because they're going to be reviewing it over time for you.
Yeah, I think it is bookfunnel.com. Does that sound right?
Yes, thank you. I knew it was. I knew I had it. I just could not think of it, because I haven't really heard a lot about it recently.
Bookfunnel.com. Cool.
Yeah.
Do that on there.
All right, and then we have this built here, Rob. We do have to do a couple more things within GMAT itself.
Yep.
Most important is this stuff isn't as important, but we're going to be clicking this auto follow-up. And this is really where the money the money is in GMass. This is the reason it's so valuable to do this part of the process. To build a list on the Google spreadsheets and to get GMass itself is for this auto follow-up.
This functionality.
Functionality, because it's huge. I get more people that respond to my follow-ups that say, oh, yeah, I missed that for some reason. I'd be happy to leave a review for the book.
Right.
So you definitely want to be doing the auto follow-ups, and GMass lets you put an auto follow-up in here that just sends another email basically as a reply to your other one, and it will show up at the bottom, and you can put in whatever you want here.
Yep.
I always try to do something short and just say, hey, wanted to follow up? Did you see this email? And that's it. And then they have the other email to do. It's not big. Right. It's not like you don't need to send the same email again, but just a real quick thing.
Yep.
And I'll do that stage 1 after 3 days, and I do stage 2 after 10. Okay. And I send real quick, hey, want to see if you had time to check out this email. Wishing you well, Jordan. And then that's all I do. I used to do a third, but I found that, once people start to get 3 emails or 4 emails from you at this point, you start to get the people that
are not happy about it.
Super happy about it.
Right.
But honestly, doing it this way, I have had people in the past say, hey, Jordan, like that seems like, you're sending a lot of emails, you're bothering people. I get very few people that are angry. I get people that say, hey, I'm not interested. And obviously there are people that are going to be like, stop emailing me. And just obviously at that point, don't email them anymore. But for the most part, I have not found this to be, at least for most people, an annoying thing to do. It's not, I don't feel personally that it's spammy. If you have issues with it, that's up to you. But yeah, you're sending emails to them and asking them, and as soon as someone says, yeah, I'm not interested, don't email them anymore.
Right.
And if you're going to be doing this a lot, GMass also has some systems in here, advanced, where you can not send the same emails. Like if I'm going to be sending things to multiple people, I'm going to set this thing. I don't want to send this email out to anyone that's received anything from me in the past 120 days, just as another way to try not to duplicate.
Yeah, to be respectful of that.
Yeah, especially because it can be hard to track if people just say, no, I'm not interested. You don't want to be sending them book after book if they're never going to be interested. So
right.
But so I always do this because there may be some crossover between books. You may not have as big of a problem if you're just going to do this for one book, but definitely worth it if you're going to be sending out a lot of these emails to, as much as you can suppress. It is a numbers game, but really just try to do your best to be respectful as you're doing this.
Right. Cool. All right. So by the way, we are about at an hour here. Do you want to keep going? Should we kind of just scan through the remainder of that manifesto page or bookmark it and then kind of wrap up next week with that? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do part 2 for this, that'd be totally game. I think there's probably a lot more we could talk about and share.
Sure. Yeah.
And then maybe we even get questions on it before next week. Yeah, I'd be totally fine, Rob, if you're good with that.
Yeah, let's do that rather than rushing through, because this is a really important part of the process of marketing your book. I mean, that is something that we get almost all of the time. How do I market my book? How do I make sure more people see it? How do I make sure that I'm reaching the people that I want to reach? I'm totally lost what's involved. And I really like this as a tutorial, just as a reference point for later on. Obviously we can see it in action, and then we have that alternate review manifesto already written so people can go back and kind of familiarize themselves with it. But super important. And yeah, let's continue on. So next week we can wrap this main portion up, and then, like you said, answer some questions about it.
Yeah, I love that idea, because I could keep going on this. Like you said earlier, this is really in some ways my baby as far as figuring this stuff out, because it is a really, people have this question a lot, and we see a lot of authors just kind of ignore this part of the process because it takes a lot of work, and it's not something to ignore. It's something to decide on either way what you're going to do. If you're going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to do that, then that's okay, but just realize what that might do for you.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. And that was why I wanted to deal with this topic this week, because it is your baby, and it is something that we really take a lot of effort trying to complete and do effectively, put a lot of pride into it. So yeah, let's bookmark this, and we'll continue on just like we did for some previous multi-part series on our live channel. I think that's all for now, though. So, is there anything else that you wanted to say and wrap up before we sign off for the evening?
No, I would say just, yeah, anyone that's watching this, just ask us questions, even if it's you're watching this after we do our next video. Reach out with questions. We're happy to help. Especially if as you're watching this, you say, hey, that looks a little different now. Amazon doesn't have reviews anymore.
Right.
What do I do?
That,
I don't know how much we can help you at that point. But yeah,
what's my play
if
here?
things change and things look different, certainly just reach out to us. We're happy to answer those, because we probably have dealt with it ourselves. So
right. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Jordan. I'm really grateful to get a little peek under the hood of this whole process, and hopefully it gives people a sense of what's involved and how they can go about doing them themselves. Or if they're interested in working with us, they kind of know what the scope of our actions are and the role it plays. So super cool. Everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. And again, as Jordan mentioned, leave any thoughts or comments or questions, even if it is after the next live stream, and we're happy to address them as best we can. So have a great evening, everybody, and we will see you folks next time.
good deal.
All right.